Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Oh, Landon, so generous of you. Thank you so much. I love it when they write stuff on my cup at Starbucks. It makes me so happy. It's a little thing, but for some reason it makes a big difference. All right, everybody, thank you and welcome to another fantastic live stream. I'm sorry that I didn't have more videos this week, but I had some personal stuff come up. Don't worry. Thankfully, everything's just fine. Thank you, Dancing Dog 60. However, I will be all locked in next week because it's going to be nuts. And we're going to be talking about that for the first story. That's right. Iced tea, the drink of champions, and single-handedly able to get me off of soda. Let's see here. Hold on. Do, 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 do. Okay. Sorry, someone was spamming. All right, so yeah, I was able to quit soda. You know, it's one of the few things that I've been able to definitely be able to do. It's stuck, and I'm very happy about that. And the way I was able to get rid of soda was iced tea. And McDonald's sells iced tea, thank you very much. So nope, no sugar, just straight black iced tea, and it's delicious. Alrighty then. Let's get to today's three stories. And it's been a while since I gave you guys some tea. So I'm going to give you a little bit of tea. Hold on. Speaking of tea, that's appropriate. I didn't even think of that. Haha. All right. So 1 second. Let me make it so I can see this better. All right. Story number 1. Boop. Okay. So yes. Whew. Next week's going to be amazing. I'm going to give you a little tea. You have to scoop, you'll notice that really only the anonymous scoopers are aggressive these days in scoops because the studios, understandably so, have become extremely aggressive about it. And I don't blame them. I do think, as I've mentioned several times before, that I think that scoops and spoilers have gotten out of hand. I see some online, largely from anonymous scoopers, that I feel horrible about because I think they're really ruining a lot of upcoming movies, and that's no fun for anybody. Isn't it nicer when you get to be surprised in the theater? I think I've had so many wonderful experiences like that pre-pandemic that I've shared with you, and I think that it's a shame that those happen less and less because of scoopers. And for mere pennies on TikTok, they're not even making a ton of money doing it. They just like to see the world burn. Okay, hey gamer, hey Fresh Prince with a PH. I love it. I love it. All right, so everything we're discussing is a rumor. Okay, that's right, Cam. I love the popcorn emojis, you guys know. Okay, so why all the activity all of a sudden? Well, that's because there's a little movie coming out next, not this weekend. These are only the preview screenings, and they won't have any major trailers. I don't think so. No, they're starting tonight. They're not going to have any trailers in front of them, I think. But there will be trailers when Project Hail Mary starts next weekend. That Spider-Man trailer drops tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm going to be really ticked off. Okay, so anyway, because the trailer, the Spider-Man Brand New Day website is live, which means the trailer could drop any second. Now, is Project Hail Mary really this massive? Compared to the other movies that have been coming out, yes, it is. Okay, so Project Hail Mary is projected to open with 70 to 85 million. I'm very curious to see what the first couple of showings do for it this weekend. I didn't read the book, but based on some of the nasty comments on my review, I believe that they've changed quite a bit from the book, particularly the tone. So I'm curious to see what the initial reaction is going to be from the super fans who are seeing it this weekend. Let's see. I mean, I'm torn. I don't like things being misrepresented. It really is things that really bothers me. But I would love the movie industry to have a success. So yes, so it's projected to open with 70 to 85 million. But the problem is that there's no other movies on the horizon that you can put a trailer with. Like the big opening will be Super Mario Galaxy, which is a 5-day weekend. It opens on April 1st, the Wednesday before Easter. It's projected domestically to open from 145 to 160 in the 3-day and 160 to 175 on the 5-day. So that's really incredible. That's a great opening. And then look, there's nothing else in April. The whole month of April, there is another big movie. And then in May, well, I think Devil Wears Prada is going to be big, but you can't attach Spider-Man or Dune to the Devil Wears Prada. Also these ad campaigns have to start going. They have to start ramping up. Mortal Kombat 2, maybe you could put something in front of there, but I don't know if it's going to be as big as it had originally maybe been. Oh yeah, that's Michael. Oh, thank you, Ben 10. Michael comes out at the end of April. That's right. Yes, Michael does. I hope Michael is a big hit. I really do. They could have put these things in front of Michael. That's true. And then The Mandalorian and Grogu at the end, for Memorial Day weekend. But I got to tell you, based on the lack of interest in the discussion I posted yesterday about Grogu, I think that Star Wars is pretty dead, shockingly so. I'm very curious to see how The Mandalorian and Grogu performs. It could perform like a kid's movie where there isn't a lot of chatter online, like Zootopia and stuff like that, maybe. But it's pretty bad. I think that, it would have to really get the family and young audiences to go in there. I think that adult fans are really not interested. It could be as low as Solo, Mystic. I think that it could really do poorly. Now, also, what's really impressive about Project Hail Mary is that it seems that it's going after the male demographic. I've even seen some of the more male-centric, let's say, channels, that's a nice way to put it, really rallying behind this movie. I don't know if that's an influencer kind of push from Amazon that spent $250 million on this movie. They spent $250 million on Project Hail Mary, so they really needed to make a lot of money. So part of me feels that they've been kind of tapping into the bro sphere and a couple of maybe kind of little toxic channels to hype up the movie. And we'll see how that works out for them. But if they really wanted guys to go see this, why would they cast Ryan Gosling? The least bro-tastic actor on the face of the earth. The people who, I don't love Brian. Bros don't love Ryan Gosling. He has never been successful with bros. I'm glad some of you like him, but he has not been very popular with that demographic in the past. He has, women love Ryan Gosling, and also the LGBTQ community, I think, likes Ryan Gosling. I don't think bros like Ryan Gosling. If you have, you haven't gone to see any of his previous movies. If some of you like to bring up La La Land, but J. Jonah Jameson is saying that Ken and Drive memes were very brotastic. Men were upset about Ken, and Drive was not a very successful film. So I don't understand. You guys love to rewrite history. It drives me crazy. I'm not saying you, and Atomsphere, Blade Runner did poorly. Did very poorly. Why do you think there was never a third Blade Runner? I mean, just don't ever mistake, and this is like a mistake that you have to think of, when you put your business hat on. Don't mix up your own opinion with the group opinion. I'm sure that a number of you are guys who think Ryan Gosling is awesome, and that's great. But you got to remember that, the majority of guys have historically not been into him. Yeah, Cillian Murphy is a very bro actor. Very bro, particularly post-Oppenheimer. Super bro. Okay. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's interesting. Maybe Ryan Gosling, maybe this is the movie that turns it all around for him. You never know. Now, also, it's weird because there have been a lack of big trailers and a lack of big movies to put them in front of. We haven't had a really big trailer, I think, for a very long time. I think, except for the Doomsday stuff that came out with Avatar, it's been a minute. And by that, I mean, certainly a lot of months. I mean, remember, you might recall that all last summer. Yeah, I think it was since Mortal Kombat, Mystic. I think since the first Mortal Kombat trailer, and I guess, the the Doomsday trailers around the holiday, there's been no major trailers. That's crazy. And I think Superman, I don't think Supergirl was nice to have. It was nice, but it was no Superman. I do agree. I think that you might be right. I think that Superman might be the last, and that was in December of 2 years ago. That was the last like really incredible trailer that we had, which performed like an old school trailer. Um, no, I'm talking about not a trailer that you personally liked. I'm talking about a trailer that racked up tons and tons of views online. Everybody wanted to discuss it. It was it had coattails. These other things not I no, I don't think so. I don't think the Mario Galaxy trailers were huge. I think they were huge within that fandom, which is considerable. But I think the crossover was not there. It wasn't something everybody talked about. And when it comes to Nintendo, not everybody needs to talk about it because the fandom is clearly so big. Okay, so yeah, it's been a minute since we've had some really big trailers. So I think people are particularly thirsty for Spider-Man. Now, yeah, there are rumors percolating. Rumors, right? And I tweeted just the other day that I think there's a very strong chance that a Spider-Man trailer is coming out. I don't feel comfortable saying 100%, but I feel good enough to say it. Let's put it that way and to not get myself in trouble. All right, so very likely that the Spider-Man trailer is coming out. Even more likely now that the website has been activated. And then also, there are rumors that I actually haven't heard. I've kind of been getting a little bit of chatter from my sources once I heard the rumor, but that, there's potentially a Dune 3 teaser this week as well. Dune 3, though, fits extremely well with Project Hail Mary. So let's talk about these two, okay? And then we have a couple of other things to talk about big things that are coming up. So Spider-Man Brand New Day, question mark for legal reasons. Maybe? Okay. So the website has been activated. That means that they're ready to send you somewhere. So that is a very strong sign, the studio has activated the website, that they're getting ready to drop a trailer and officially start the ad campaign. So when is this going to happen? Could it potentially happen tonight? I'm a little nervous about it, but I think dropping a Spider-Man trailer, well, they could drop the Spider-Man trailer whenever they wanted. But I think a Friday night at 7 o'clock, which, although I think have there been preview screenings? Well, next Tuesday is St. Patrick's Day. But you're getting ahead of me, Rodney. I'm thinking maybe the Oscars as well. So the Oscars are kind of messing this up, but we'll get there in a minute because, the Oscars are on Sunday. All right, so the website is active. Also, it's important to remember that Sony is the international distributor of Project Hail Mary. So globally, this is attaching the trailer to their own movie. So they would love that to help the screening, the movie. Then I couldn't get this confirmed from anyone, okay? In fact, my source thought it was ridiculous because they don't usually do stuff like this, okay? And I do have to say that if they dropped the Spider-Man trailer during the Oscars, if you think the industry hates superhero movies now, although maybe they just want to make sure people care about the Oscars. But what makes me think about it is that they're having a Marvel reunion at the Oscars on Sunday. Reunion, they're still going. Well, they're having some kind of Marvel gathering. And Tom Holland and Zendaya, by the way, will both be at the Oscars on Sunday. So maybe they'll announce the trailers coming out maybe on Monday. I think it's a very good opportunity to potentially, either drop again, this is just a guess, like for real, it's just a guess, but maybe drop the trailer or maybe announce when the trailer is going to come out, right? But even if they announce the trailer for Monday morning, that just kills any conversation about the Oscar winners. I heard some of you say Tuesday, maybe Tuesday, but again, that's St. Patrick's Day. And that's a really crazy time to drop the trailer on St. Patrick's Day. People are out and about then. Paul says, what's the best time for me? I don't know. It's a really busy week, so let's go over it. I think, I guess their only options the fact that they activated the website on Friday makes me feel that it's dropping before Monday. Right? Like, why wouldn't you activate the website on, I really feel like I'm going to be sitting right here live tweeting the Oscars so I can do a live stream afterwards. And so let's just say I feel good about that because in case the trailer does drop or something, I will be ready. You know, I think nothing would annoy me more to be sitting in my home and then for them to drop such a big trailer. So I'm not sure. So let's see what they decide to do. Let's see. Maybe Wednesday, but Wednesday is an extremely busy day as well. We're going to talk about that. And then apparently they have to drop Dune at some point. When the heck is Dune going to drop? But I got to say, Timothée Chalamet is probably really eager to change the conversation. It has gotten so bad about his opera and ballet comment. You know, part of me wanted to be like, I think this is moved over into bullying. But I was like, well, I don't know if I want to get involved in this. Okay? Like, it was so funny. I saw Doja Cat say, well, first she apparently made fun of him for saying that. And then the next day she came online and said that she didn't mean that because she just was jumping on the bandwagon for engagement. And so she shouldn't have done that. So I had two reactions to that. One was, oh, that's not cool to jump on him like that just for clicks. And then my second reaction was, she's a master internet person because now she got double the clicks. First for saying that she was against him and then for admitting that she wasn't. So I was like, she might be playing 4D chess. So, I mean, I think I might be really impressed. You know, I wasn't sure how to react to that. All right, so I thought that was pretty crazy. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis made fun of him. Patton Oswalt made fun of him. The View made fun of him. I was like, come on, guys. I mean, and also considering there was a little bit of truth to what he said, it's just, you know, it made me feel that people were just waiting to jump on Timmy C. And he hasn't said anything about it. Instead, it got even worse when his girlfriend, Kylie Jenner, did a cover story for some magazine, I forget which one, and said she wanted to act. And I was like, that might be the worst thing that Timothée Chalamet ever did. And it also made me feel like less sincere about their relationship. I was like, is she just using Timmy C to get into Hollywood? I was like, careful, Timmy. So that was pretty nuts. I'd be like, I think that, you know, that's an interesting point. Timothée Chalamet's personal life is starting to overshadow his work. And I think that's really bad. You know, I think that an actor needs to be able to disappear into roles. And it's becoming like the Timothée Chalamet reality show, which I guess is the Kardashian effect. And I think he really needs to be careful about that and really be careful. But he should do a roast, Adam Sphere. If he does a roast, that's the end of him being considered a serious actor. You know, then he becomes like Mark Wahlberg, but which means he'll still work. Wow, thank you, the other Ant-Man. Thank you so much. And I like your picture there. It's nice to see you, especially since you were just so generous. But yeah, it's pretty bad. But the fact that he hasn't said anything makes me feel that maybe he feels this trailer will change the conversation. You know, maybe he feels, maybe they're going to drop a Dune trailer during the Oscars. You know, by the way, Dune would be a better trailer to drop at the Oscars, to be honest with you, because it's an Oscar-winning franchise. I didn't even think of that either. Now I'm getting nervous for Oscar night. I mean, I gotta say, if they can start, you know, dropping bigger event trailers, you know, maybe that'll finally get people to tune in. You know, because like, where is the space for all these things to be dropped? You know, like if they're going to be in front of, so this is the way trailer drops work. Okay. So if a trailer is going to play in front of a movie, it needs to kind of be out by Wednesday morning because of international releases. So with preview screenings the night before, it's really going to start playing overseas on Wednesday. So it has to hit the internet before it hits theaters. So these I mean, technically maybe you could do Thursday morning, but you know, there's only so much space to release all of these trailers to play. I mean, some of them honestly should have come out maybe this week. Or, you know, I mean, that's why I'm a little nervous about maybe tonight. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what they decide to do. All right. I'm also hearing that CinemaCon is going to have some goodies. CinemaCon, for those of you who don't know, is an industry event. Sometimes it's good for fans. Sometimes it isn't. It is April 13th through the 16th. And every major studio, for the most part, has a presentation. I think, like 2 years ago, it was, yeah, last year's was not good, Mystic, but like 2 years ago, it was really strong. And it kind of started, or 3 years ago, but it had a really good year, which started to cement it as something that fans paid attention to. But last year, they really dropped the ball. This year, I heard, all I'll say is that you're going to want to pay attention to the Disney presentation. Thank you, K4. I heard the Disney presentation will be worth paying attention to. I don't know if what they debut or play there will be released publicly, but it would leak. I think it would be ridiculous. I would strongly advise them not to have it not go public, because I think it would really annoy fans. But that will be Disney's presentation. If you want to bookmark it now, is Thursday, April 16th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, they're definitely, Faye, from what I hear, the mouse is coming to play. So that is one panel out. If you're going to pay attention to any panel out of CinemaCon, I think that's the one you're going to want to really pay attention to. I'll be covering all of them. Any big news that comes out. All right, but that's not all that's happening next week. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. There are also 2 major shareholder meetings. So, oh wait, that's the wrong one. So on Wednesday, Disney is handing over the live streams. They're switching over the CEOs from Bob Iger, who will remain in an advisory capacity at least through the end of the year, with Josh D'Amaro. But what's really interesting about this is that this shareholder meeting will be live streamed. That means that anyone can watch. That doesn't mean everything will be revealed to the public. In the past, they'll blank out the screen when it's a private reveal. But still, they must have some big things coming. Also, Josh D'Amaro is going to want to make a big splash. He's very fan friendly. He has a lot of history with interacting with fans from his job in charge of Disney experiences. So that's on Wednesday, and that's at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will definitely be tuning into that. You can tune in too, by the way. Anyone can watch again. If you go to the Disney investor site, anyone can click play and watch the live stream. So it's a pretty big deal that they're going to do that. Now, it's Adam's Fair. It's interesting that you ask. Oh, by the way, I saw some people saying that maybe the Moana trailer would come out. I haven't heard anything about a Moana trailer at the next week. I know some other scoopers are saying they have. I don't know. But I wouldn't say it's impossible. I wouldn't bet money on it, but I'd just stay out of betting on it. I wouldn't bet no either, But my real concern is, where would it go? The week is too crowded. I don't know. Moana isn't a trailer that would go in front of Project Hail Mary. And why on earth would Moana go out against, potentially, if these trailers do release, Spider-Man and Dune? It's just too many trailers, right? And it's not Comic-Con. But maybe it's going to be like a mini Comic-Con next week. Maybe it's going to be nuts. We'll see. Oh, Faye, Starfighter? Oh, I haven't heard anything. That would be a true surprise, but that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea to have a teaser for Starfighter. Although I would think they would save that for Mandalorian and Grogu. We'll see. Even Moana would be for Super Mario? I gotta tell you, I don't think those brands are a match. I wouldn't put Moana in front of Super Mario. Maybe because Dwayne Johnson is in it. I don't know, but still, maybe. As I said, I haven't heard a peep about Moana coming out in the next week or so, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did, especially because Disney is live streaming that shareholder meeting. And again, I guess you guys are right, perhaps potentially to play in front of, Super Mario. Okay, then finally, also on Friday, a week from today, it's the Warner Brothers finally Warner Brothers will be having their shareholder meeting, where they are going to ask their shareholders to vote on a deal. And so, Warner Brothers is now, and Netflix backed out. So this should be approved. It shouldn't be a big news thing. I have to say, though, so many people are against this. This week, the Teamsters came out against the Warner Brothers and Paramount merger. And they're a pretty powerful group in Washington, the Teamsters. So I think that, Trump has a lot on his plate right now. But Trump, he's a very mercurial political leader. He really does whatever he feels like, and he does what's best for him. So the question is, I think the fact that the Ellisons are friends with Trump means this is almost impossible not to be approved, even though I think almost everybody feels that it's a bad idea. But the problem is that so many people are going to benefit from it. Like DeGuy says, come on, shareholders, stop it. But the shareholders are going to make so much money off of this deal. Like Zaslav, as they were discussing this week, has tripled the stock value in the last few months for Warner Brothers. That's incredible. So you'd have to be asking shareholders. Yeah, that's right. Jonah Jameson said he's a shareholder and he likes money. Yeah, there's no way they're going to vote not to make a ton of money. So this is where the government is supposed to step in, but especially with the Republicans in almost total control, they're probably going to try and get this approved before the midterm elections, when they maybe wouldn't be as in control as much. But, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to feel this would be harmful to them. I mean, they are a little bit on the ropes politically right now, particularly with the war they started. So it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell how this is going to go. I would say it's almost definitely going to happen, but I do think there is a small tiny sliver of hope that maybe it won't, Trump would have to feel, though, that it would be really detrimental to him not to approve it. And I'm not sure if he even really cares. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So does anybody questions or comments about this story before we go on to the second story of the day? That's right, David. The elites, more than it has in a long time. It's almost like we have a second Gilded Age. Not the fun kind on HBO, but the kind that made everybody very angry back in the day, of a bunch of very wealthy people doing what's best for themselves. Juan, I'm going to get in trouble on the CinemaCon stuff, but it's from a couple of different studios. Disney's not the only studio that's going to show up to play, but I think they're going to have the most from what I've heard so far. Dancing Dog 60 says, Grace, Warner Brothers was sold all over the place in the 70s. In the early 70s, it was 7 hours. Well, no. Well, Dancing Dog 60, that's because the issue isn't that anybody's buying Warner Brothers. The issue is the consolidation of two studios into one. If a company that had nothing to do with Hollywood wanted to buy Warner Brothers, nobody would have a problem with that. It's the combining of two studios into one. Oliver says, Timmy becoming the new Adrian Brody was not on your 2026 bingo card. I don't care, though. Yeah, women do have a harder time. I don't know. I don't know. I think, again, he's supposed to be an artist, and he made a very business comment. And also, I think the frivolousness and callousness of the comment was the real issue, and I think maybe that's, an issue there. Brett says, please report on the Warner Brothers purchasing from beyond the shareholders POV, but the filmmakers. I know we talk about money here, but quality and artist welfare will drop. Oh, for sure. What's really sad? All of the guilds, the Writers Guild, the Actors Guild, the Directors Guild, because there's so few jobs and opportunities are dwindling, you're getting to a point right now where they're not going to be able to continue to provide health insurance to their members. So you're going to have huge numbers of people in Hollywood who make very little money, but at least had health insurance, lose their health insurance in the next couple of months, like in the next 6 months or so. That's a real problem for the industry. You're getting to a point where people are not going to want to go work in Hollywood because it's going to become such a bad job. And what is that going to mean for the industry going forward? Do they not care because they're just going to use AI? It's really a bad situation. Briley says, betting that Villeneuve aims for an Oscar with Dune 3 after the rightful praise of Sinners. I hope so. Let's see what Dune looks like. If it's just more of the same, it would be hard. They'd have to significantly up their game. And also, is it going to become a really much more of a political film? Will that therefore hurt its box office? It would have to be his Return of the King. The Lord of the Rings movie that brought home a ton of Oscars as the finale. CJ, all I heard about Dune 3 was Timmy's comments about how he was going full Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now and Heath Ledger from The Joker, which of course I think means he's going to lean in to his Harkonnen, the character's Harkonnen background, which was revealed in chapter 2. Gerard says, you think he's trying to make himself a villain to get ready for Dune 3? That's hilarious. You know, if he is, I really respect his game. I think that would be incredible. But you don't want to go to a point where people don't want to see you. You know, that's really a problem. Oh, thanks, Riley. Madav says he's playing 4D chess. You know, with Timmy, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. You guys ready to boop to the next story? I think you are. All right. Boopity boop boop. All right, where's my arrow? Oh, no, wait. Boop. Okay, what's going on here? All right, so I was really surprised yesterday when they announced that Green Lantern, Aaron Pierre's Green Lantern, will be appearing in Man of Tomorrow. You know, they don't really have surprises anymore because they can't keep them, you know? That's why it was kind of exciting that James Gunn had managed to keep the ending of Peacemaker so under wraps, only then to not deliver anything. But it was frustrating. You know, things like this should be a surprise. But unfortunately, these days, you can't really have a surprise because even if you manage to keep it a surprise up until release, you know, there's always an anonymous scooper that gets a tip from someone who was working on set or something like that. And then just for clicks, they put it out there because they don't care. And, you know, that's the kind of world we're living in right now. But the only other problem is because of social media, the second the movie played overseas, and it always plays overseas first, where they're very lax apparently in letting you film the screen, you know, you go over there, you take a picture, and you put it up on the internet, and that's the end of it. And that's right, Mystic. They have to do test screenings, and people really, you know, don't adhere to their NDAs there either. So yeah. So I guess you can't have surprises like this anymore, which is a real shame. I would have liked to have been surprised, but well. All right. So my other thought was, as I wrote here, is this damage control for that god-awful trailer? Methinks it is. Methinks it is. To me, because it's very early to announce this. James Gunn has, you know, with the exception of some idiot in social media posting this trailer early, which is why it leaked a day earlier, why not keep this more of a secret until closer to release, right? I think the trailer was like so poorly received that they're like, well, we better make it feel, well, I don't know. He played the same game with Peacemaker, with season 2. Remember, he was like, Peacemaker season 2 is going to lead directly into Man of Tomorrow. You can't watch Man of Tomorrow without watching Peacemaker season 2. And we were all like, okay. We all got excited and bought into that. And then we were like, what? So Infernicus says, people hyping up these characters in the Superman 2 are the same ones that complained about the small cameos of the Justice League and Batman v Superman. Well, you know, we really do have some, like, well, I think they're small, but very vocal, you know, the Snyder fans and the Gunn fans, right? Although I think both of their numbers are dwindling in terms of diehard fans. You know, I think it's just been too long for Snyderverse. And I think, you know, James Gunn delivered stuff that was not bad. But then also, I think James Gunn has made so many missteps, and I think has exposed himself to maybe not be, you know, to be everything that people like myself said he was. And that's not necessarily mean it's game over for him. But, you know, I think a lot of people who defended James Gunn felt that he was infallible, you know, and now they're like, well, no, you know. And I don't even know if he means, I don't know if I wouldn't say he's necessarily malicious, but, you know, it's funny because everyone always says women are so emotional, but I think James Gunn really gets wrapped up in how he feels in the moment, you know? And I think his defense a lot of times would be like, well, my feelings changed or things changed. And then you'll be like, well, you're the head of a studio, then you shouldn't say anything if it can change. All right, so anyway, I do think that it's damage control for this crappy trailer. Now, the lack of green, we all really got upset about that, boy. We were like, how is there no green in the Green Lantern trailer? And I saw a couple of people who were close and friendly with the studios trying to defend it, which I was like, dude, I mean, that's a step too far. Like, don't tell us there's green in a trailer when there's no green, particularly when your examples have been photoshopped to play up the color green. Like, come on, man. Like, don't do that to us. Don't try and gaslight us that there's green in the trailer. There's no green in that stupid trailer, okay? So that was kind of weird. Again, we were like, how was that the case? Why did nobody in publicity, when they were playing the trailer to test it, be like, maybe we should put some green in it? Now, I think you can see them really trying to course correct on this. This is a social media picture that was making the rounds today. Chris Mundy, who is the guy from Ozark, the showrunner from Ozark. That's him in the back there, I believe. Where is it? Right here. That's him. But he took a picture of the people who were working on it, and they all wore green shirts. They're like, yeah, see, green? And I'm this is where my comic book nerd fan comes in. I'm like, it's not the right color green. I'm like, I don't really like that muted, washed out color green. I prefer like a brighter, like the green like this. It's supposed to be like that, okay? So it bothers me. But yes, that's right, Madav. Why is something blurred in the photo? What is this? It's so obviously blurred out that I think they're trying to get people to be excited about it. Being like, what's that? And I don't know. Some people thought maybe it was the squirrel, like a little version of the squirrel. I don't know. I don't think it's enough for anyone to get too excited about. I mean, there's literally no tease there. So, you're just, I don't know. That's the thing. No one cares. Okay. So lack of online reaction. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But I will say I was surprised that when they said that Aaron Pierre's Green Lantern was going to be in Man of Tomorrow, that it never trended. That was really shocking to me. That, it was not even a big news day. That should have trended, but it didn't, which I think shows a real problem. Okay? Now, Jon Stewart over Hal Jordan. I saw a couple of people talking about that, saying, what? Why wouldn't Hal Jordan be in the movie? And you're like, well, look at this casting. Aaron Pierre is the same age as David Cornsweet, and then also any potential Batmans, Robert Pattinson included. So they're not going to have a much older Green Lantern, particularly after they already did that with Guy Gardner, right, with Nathan Fillion. So, of course, it was going to have to be Jon Stewart. But I do agree that it's a little spoilery for the show. I do agree that it's a little like, does this mean Hal Jordan's dead? Does he go back and, I mean, it clearly means that maybe I don't know. It just, it almost feels like you don't even need to watch Lanterns, right? Like you're like, well, I'll just pick up with them in Man of Tomorrow 2. I mean, Man of Tomorrow, aka Superman 2. We'll see what happens. I agree, Jonah Jameson. He might do his evil arc, right? I think that's very likely. But we'll see what they decide to do. Oh, that's a good guess, Olive, that it was an Oa Guardian blurred out. That's a very good guess. Someone from Oa. That's a good guess. Okay, so it is a little spoilery. I think you don't want to give away the conclusion to the show, right? I appreciate that, Mystic. And yeah, a real lack of online reaction. I think people were very excited about this show, which is makes it so sad. The Guardians are blue, but that picture is just blurred out. You don't even really know for sure what you're looking at. They could have changed the colors, no problem. But anyway, the online reaction is concerning, particularly because when the teaser was about to come out, the online reaction was incredible. People, including myself, were very excited for this show. I think it was perhaps one of the most promising upcoming projects, which is maybe why it was so horrible when we actually saw the trailer and we're like, oh my God, what? So we'll see what happens. But I think, bottom line, I feel that this news yesterday should have trended. I feel that announcing Green Lantern, Aaron Pierre's character, is going to be in Man of Tomorrow, should have trended. All right, so does this mean we're building out our Justice League? Here we go, the Justice League. A lot of people are familiar with the Justice League from the animated series. They had 2 variations. That's when they originally started the show. And then they kind of tweaked their costumes a little bit, particularly Green Lantern and Hawkgirl, as the show progressed. I love this relationship, that romance, and Isabella Merced, who plays Hawkgirl, has said she's eager to potentially explore that. I don't think she's really the Hawkgirl from the show. I mean, I didn't particularly like her portrayal either in the movie. I know some of you really liked her a lot in the movie. She was one of my least favorite versions of the characters in the film. That's right. She's more Kendra, not Shiera, but she's going to be in Man of Tomorrow. So they're not going to have two Hawk Girls. So they might just switch over to this one. And, I thought for sure they wouldn't do it, the romance. But when I look at the costume, when I look at the helmet, and I look at the yellow that they've incorporated, makes me feel that maybe they are going to maybe do that and go, because, she does seem a little Hawk Girl coded from the show. Again, nothing against Isabella Merced, although I'm not a big fan of Isabella Merced. I don't know why she keeps getting so much work. Because, that's an opportunity that other actresses could get. But she must be really great in a room, and she must be really a great person to hang out with. Bill Paxton used to get a ton of roles back in the day before he died, because he was just such a sweetheart. I'd heard that he was so incredible to hang out with. And I got the chance to interview him before he passed away. And I have to tell you, the man was an absolute dreamboat. I mean, just such a kind, wonderful person. I can see why everybody would want to give him a job and work with him and spend time with him. So perhaps she has that quality to her, because she gets a lot of work. Now, I think what's really interesting, okay, is what's going to happen to, James Gunn has a real problem here, and that he's about to have a new boss. And I think that he's not in a great space, I think he's really in a weak position. I'd be curious to see what David Ellison decides to do. I don't believe Man of Tomorrow has started to roll cameras yet. But although it probably will by the time this is an official change. Although David Ellison is already on the Warner Brothers lot, already, talking to the highest executives and taking meetings. So we'll see how he weighs in on DC, what he decides to do. He's a big blockbuster fan, so he's going to have opinions and interest in this division. Also because it generates it's supposed to generate so much revenue for the company. The DC IP is really important. So we'll see. But I think that he's not in a great space. I think he's not, I think he's probably looking for a way to turn things around, to put him in a position of power going into these meetings with Ellison. But if I were Ellison, I'd be like, dude, you were supposed to fix things. And first they were just kind of at the same level. And now they're sinking. So what are you doing, buddy? I think that the 2026 slate right now looks poor. It's rough. I don't think that Ellison will bring back Zack Snyder. I do not. I think you might see him, I told you, if I had to guess conservatively what I thought, he would do, I think he would fire Peter Safran and he would bring in another executive. I really feel that Ellison would bring in another executive. And also maybe try to change the creative voice. Right now it's very much the Gunverse, very much the way it was the Snyderverse, to be fair. Such a strong creative POV. It's all the same. And I think that it's important to have variation, I think it's a mistake to put creatives in charge of a division. We'll see how this works out for Star Wars with Filoni. I think it's a mistake. I think there should be full-on executives in charge, not creatives. Madav, the Snyderverse was cinematic, but people hated it so much that I don't think that they're going to go back to that. And the Snyder cut did not perform as well as I think they were hoping. And so there's, people are, especially businesses are motivated by results. And I just don't think that there are any results to point to. Ben 10 says that there's cinematic universe fatigue. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I think that streaming really hurt it. And then Paul says, can you have a creative that's also a good executive? You can have a creative that's very good from a business standpoint, but I don't think they can run all. I think that a good creative wants to create. They don't want to oversee other people's work, you know. And I think they have. I think there's always a part of a creative who's like, I wish I could do it, you know, like, oh, I'd like to do it. And you need an executive who's like, well, I can't do it. I can't make that movie. I need someone to make it for me. And I think that's better. Fahad, Walt Disney's an interesting person to suggest, but you know, Walt Disney actually was not as good an artist as the people that he employed. And he, in fact, never directed any of his, you know, beyond his early days when he created Mickey Mouse. And his Mickey Mouse, of course, looked very different than the character eventually did. But Walt Disney never directed anything once the studio became, you know, like fully operational. He was a creative figurehead. You know, he was very much more, you know, he was a creative executive. He was an idea man. And then he had other people execute it. And that would be fine. But these people still want to make stuff. Mystic, is Ellison like Walt Disney? I mean, that would be great if he was, you know, but I think we have yet to see it, because when you look at the output of movies under his Skydance banner, you know, not a strong leadership there from a producing standpoint. Cam points out that it's when they see that Spielberg produced but didn't direct, a red flag goes up. Yeah, I mean, sometimes he's okay, but, you know, I think that's a good point. Spielberg's not a great business person because he's, you know, and he's very bad at picking actors, by the way, particularly people he thinks are going to be big stars. He's very good at picking everyman actors, but particularly when it comes to picking actresses, he's really bad at it. He has a very bad track record. Deshaun said, did James Gunn commit to too many projects? I think he didn't. I don't think he expected how poor Warner Brothers would be. Like, they have so little money. And then also, I think James Gunn anticipated that everyone. I think he drank his own Kool-Aid, and I think he was used to having the Marvel. You know, he was at Marvel. James Gunn was at Marvel at a time when everybody loved everything that Marvel put out, and I think that spoiled him. I think that he's not used to having to deal with an audience that isn't automatically all in. And I think that, and also, I think he just assumed everyone would love all of his creative choices. And I think it's been a wake-up call that people are like, I don't like this. You know, people, you know, I think that, you know, David Zaslav said, I want DC to perform like Marvel. But DC as a brand is not like Marvel. They're very different brands, and their fans expect very different things. And so I think that if you give a DC fan something that's in the style of Marvel, they're going to be disappointed. They're going to be like, what candy-coated garbage is this, man? You know, it's funny. I think, speaking of Project Hail Mary, I think a lot of people feel that Project Hail Mary, I think the book of Project Hail Mary is a DC book from what you guys are saying. And it's funny because I think the movie is a Marvel movie. So I'm curious to see how fans react this weekend. It could all go great, maybe. And it's not a bad movie, but it's just, you know, it's not how it's being. I really just don't like dishonesty. Oyster Base says, I normally see comic book movies 2 to 3 times, and you only saw Superman once, and you haven't had a desire to watch it again. That's interesting. I don't really watch comic book movies a lot because it feels like work for me. So it's hard for me to relate to that. So I only watch them for work, because it's hard. When I watch them, I'm like, must be working and thinking about work. So it's not relaxing for me. But I did like Superman, and I did see it twice, and I was excited to see it twice. Mystic, you want to talk about Donna Langley? She has been staring at you for over 30 minutes. All right, let's talk about, this is a very interesting story. I'm excited to talk about this. Let's see here. Floppy, I don't know about the footage in the Lanterns trailer. I don't know where you would have heard that from. But again, it would speak to what we talked about in my breakdown, and that's that you have to film your big shots so you have something exciting for your trailer. You know, it doesn't have to be from episode 6 necessarily, but you need to have the money shot, as we always talk about. What's the poster frame? And in fact, that trailer had no poster frame. Even the studio itself, where is that? Even the studio itself had to use a picture that's not in the trailer itself as the poster frame. So that to me is a big, uh-oh. Okay. Story number 3. Boom, baby. Oh, I love this one because this is a little misleading. I love it. I love it. Okay, so Universal came out yesterday and they were like, woohoo, woohoo. We are going to reverse our position on theatrical windows. And even though we started this whole thing of shortening the windows, hold on to your hats. We're going to go back in the other direction. So let's talk about it and how big of a sacrifice they're really making. Okay, so during the pandemic, Universal was the first to say, screw it, we're going on digital faster. And they, of course, did the 17-day window for flops, the 30-day window for hits. And they stuck to this religiously. Even the Wicked movies, when they did well, they hit the 30-day mark, they stuck that thing on digital. And they made a lot of money. They made billions of dollars with this strategy. In fact, it did so well that Warner Brothers has been imitating it. And Netflix had also said they were going to do something similar. And so it seemed that Universal was pulling people in their direction, except for one studio. And that studio was the Mouse. Now, the Mouse was insisting on 60-day windows, and they were holding to it. Now, for instance, Zootopia 2 came out for Thanksgiving on November 26, 2025. Sure enough, 60 days later, on January 27th, the thing came out on digital. So that was 2 months in theaters. And then it hasn't hit Disney Plus until just last week, or just this week, on March 11th. So that is a huge amount of time. Where's Avatar 3 on digital? Well, it's 60 days, right? The movie came out for December. So that would be January. So it would be sometime in mid-March. So it should be around March, right? No, yeah, you're right. Where is Avatar? That's interesting. It should have come out, actually. What is a month? It should have been in February. Interesting. Jimmy C says he's still deciding if he's going to make the 4th movie. Okay, yeah, it's not even on digital yet. That's interesting. All right, so, but I think one of the reasons that the other studios are like, maybe we should do what Disney's doing, because in 2024 and 2025, Disney was the only studio to have billion-dollar pictures. 2 years in a row. And I think that made a big impression on everybody else. And also their movies have done better. In fact, in Movie Math a couple of weeks ago, I asked you guys, I said, are you more likely to go and see a Disney movie in theaters because you know it's going to take longer for it to go on digital? And a couple of you said that was true. So I think, even in my own life, I've had friends and family go, that looks okay, but you know what? I'm going to wait to watch it on digital. I know it's not going to take that long, so I'll just wait. And I think that that's become a real problem for the industry. I also think that Paramount and Warner Brothers are scaring people. Oh, that was you, Juan? I love it. Thank you, Juan. I appreciated you telling me that. It was really informative. So yes, Paramount is going to purchase Warner Brothers. And I think there's some concern that they're going to be aggressive with their dates, probably trying to do the 17 and 30 day. So I think Universal, which is now a small fish in the Hollywood pond, there was an article about how these other studios are so tiny now compared to Disney, Netflix, and Paramount Warner Brothers that they're lowering their goals and ambitions. They're like, we're too small. There's only so much we can do. And that's really a disaster for them. And in fact, I think the quote from Universal was like, we're going to focus on domestic. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And I think that maybe Universal feels if they love movies, if they're like, we love movies, it'll be like some goodwill for them. But it's a little misleading. All right, so they promised 5 weekends in theaters exclusively for 2026 and 7 weekends starting in 2027. But I was like, weekends? How many days is that? So I looked it up, and it's actually not that many days. So they're only agreeing to a minimum of 31 days. So they're sticking, All right, so they're not going to do the 17 days anymore. So that's off the table. They're not going to do 17 days anymore, but they're still doing a month. They're still going to do a month, you know? So their movies will only be in theaters guaranteed until they hit digital for a month, just like they were doing before. So it's not this huge thing. And then in 2027, they're going to switch to 7 weekends guaranteed, which is only 45 days. So they're still nowhere near the 60 days. It would have to be 10 weekends to get 60 days like Disney. So they're still not there. They're still doing 30 to, and I think when you say it by weekends, it's funny. It's funny when they say that because it's a little misleading. But when you look at the actual days, you're like, oh, so come on, it's still not Disney level. But let's look at the movies that will be affected by this. Okay, so here's the 2026 universe. There might be a couple of things left off here, but this is for the most part. So that means a month in theaters guaranteed, just like they've been doing now. But like a smaller movie like You, Me, and Tuscany will only be in theaters for a month. But everything else is going to get the Wicked treatment that already existed, right? So Universal has a pretty darn good slate for the rest of the year. The Super Mario Galaxy movie, You, Me, and Tuscany, Disclosure Day, Minions and Monsters, The Odyssey, Fokker-in-Law for Thanksgiving, and then Violent Night 2. That one probably would have been 17 days if not for this new deal. But for the most of these, it's just a month, you know? Although with Christopher Nolan, expect longer for The Odyssey. Christopher Nolan probably will want the 60 days. And he can get it. He can get anything he wants from Universal. Christopher Nolan. He's now the head of the Directors Guild. That guy's living his best life. He can do anything he wants. Juan says Oppenheimer took 5 months to get to digital. That's incredible. I hope The Odyssey is really good. I'm nervous about it. I think everybody looks at the trailers for The Odyssey and goes, meh, but it's Nolan. You know, like I think that's a big part of it. And also people who saw I didn't see the intro with the Trojan horse, but people who saw that in theaters said it was really incredible. So that's great. I also am just excited for an epic movie. So that's cool. Then for 2027, they have The Exorcist, which has just begun filming with Scarlett Johansson and all of, what's that guy's name? Mike Flanagan's pals. Which means, what's his name? Hamish Linklater's in it. So my ticket's sold. I love that guy. And also his wife is in it too. Okay. He did it before James Gunn. Okay. Then How to Train Your Dragon 2, Shrek 5, and Miami Vice. Ooh, I'm excited for Miami Vice. Okay, so Universal, damn, they have a good slate. So these will all be a month in theaters, and these will all be guaranteed 45 days in theaters, but still not what Disney has. Still not to the level of Disney. And I think that really should be a 60-day window. It seems not. Let's see here. Madab says, why not until it's not making money? I'm not sure. I think that's a good way to do it. But I think, I think there has to be some structure usually to plan the release and the advertising materials. Those things often have to be bought out in advance. But that's why I like 60 days. Oh, is the stream not? My internet's a little soft. Sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. It's fixed? Good. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, I think we're ready for the Q&A. Okay. Booyah! Right? That's what I was saying for this. All right, let's do 10 minutes Q&A. Okay. The Ben Affleck AI company, Madav? I'm nervous about it. I guess my only real problem is that when he went on Joe Rogan, I wish he had disclosed that he was working on an AI company, because it's just a different way to consider his comments. That's the only thing that I don't love about that. And I really do have a problem with AI. Um, Jace, we might find out about One Piece this weekend, potentially, maybe. Although I'm surprised the numbers haven't come out already since it was on Tuesday. Ben says that your dad and you are huge Greek mythology fans, so you can't wait to take him to see the Odyssey. Oh, that'll be fun no matter what. A lot of times, as I said, just going to the movies itself is fun, and that's really nice that you're going to have that plan with your dad. Hey, Dancing Dog 60, thank you very much. Riley says, have you seen the rumored casting of Anya Taylor-Joy for Arwen? Are you talking for the what is that, for Lord of the Rings, right? With the Gollum movie? Kate Winslet is an extremely strong choice for the lead for that. Hey, John. Oh, I just answered the thing about Kate Winslet. I don't think anyone on the face of the earth can have a problem with Kate Winslet. I think she's a home run in that everyone likes her. Adam's Fair, Disclosure Day looks awful to me. I still don't know what the movie's about. I couldn't even finish the last trailer. But I like Josh O'Connor so much that I'm like, it's fine. Mystic, you know how likable Kate Winslet is? She was so offensive in Avatar, and no one said anything because everyone likes Kate Winslet so much. Oh, except I Don't Care Bear. That's interesting. Maybe just nobody talked about it. I thought it was so offensive. I just couldn't believe it. I just was like, what is happening here? John says, thoughts on the Beef Season 2 trailer. I'm intrigued. I wish it was the same characters, particularly because I felt like the ending was open-ended. But I guess that's the idea. I mean, here's the thing. I think the first season of Beef was so good that I so trust that creator that I will watch it no matter what. But I don't think that trailer really blew me away. Mark, I'm going to try and do content for BTT members. Yeah, I have to get back on that. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let's see here. Ben Verona says, hey, Grace, no questions. Just sending love. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a little bit of a tough week, but everything's cool. Madav says, people love the Scary Movie 6 teaser. They did. I loved it too. I thought it was very funny. I'm really excited about that. Oh, Star Allison, I'm sorry that your power just went out. Preserve power. I hope you're good there. Cam, Hacks should be coming back relatively soon. I think this will be the final season, right? Let's see here. Colored Smoke says, I got my appendix out the other day, Grace, and your videos. Oh, I'm helping you heal. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm glad you're okay. Oh, Antonio loves Superman. He's seen it 6 times. You're making up for the other person who didn't watch it. Faye says, if Zatanna isn't Clayface and if she's well cast, do you think it could lead to a Justice League Dark movie? Maybe a Justice League Dark HBO show, but then, I don't really think this works. Splitting cinematic universes between movies and streaming. El Bukhari, I thought that One Piece Season 2, I think that the hardcore fans seem to like it, but I think that it's lost its mainstream appeal for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. Some people felt they forgot to advertise it and stuff like that. I don't know. But for some reason, I feel it's become more niche. Adam's Fear says, what's my favorite mocktail? Oh, it's a cranberry seltzer. Once when I was just kind of starting on the bar scene, I'm not a big bar person, but back in my comedy days, I hung out at a lot of bars. And back when I used to go to Comic-Con more, I would be at bars. And a bartender was very nice and said, instead of always ordering a Diet Coke, I used to drink Diet Coke back then, like, you should have a cranberry seltzer because it still kind of looks like a drink. And I was like, oh, thank you. But the trick is you have to make sure you ask for it in a drink glass, not a soda glass, because then it comes to you, like, you look like a ridiculous person. David, thank you. That's so generous of you. Thank you. Deck Officer, my favorite pizza. I like plain, obviously. I like pepperoni, but you're not supposed to eat pepperoni. Processed meats are apparently the worst thing you can eat. So I try to actually stay away from them these days. ACNY, I was going to review Ready or Not 2, but now that so much is happening next week, I think I'm going to focus on those things instead, probably. Hector says, is Michael going to flop? I don't know. They released the songs, and I thought the song track listing was a little underwhelming. So, do I have a favorite YouTuber star, Allison? I really like How It Should Have Ended. And I also like a Pitch Meeting. I think that's, I mean, I like stuff like this. And I like Pitch Meeting. I like How It Should Have Ended. I do enjoy a Hot Ones now and then. I like that Hot Ones. I also really like those Business Insider videos where they're like, how to cook for a cruise ship, you know, or how do they make donuts? And I'm always like, how do they do that? I watched a recent video on how to make donuts, and it turned out to be a surprise. I think I mentioned this. They're like, surprise, let's talk about unions and the licenses for food carts in the city. And I was like, what? You tricked me. I thought this was a video about donuts. Oh, that's okay, Jesus. It's been so slow. I hope it is super busy. My thing is to try and make movie math early enough on Sunday so that I can take a break and be able to have a little break before the Oscars start. It's 7 o'clock, by the way. They're an hour earlier. Poke, I do like Mr. Beast. I think he's become a little bit of a parody of himself. But I think that I've enjoyed his videos in the past. I don't watch them anymore, but I used to watch a couple of them, and I thought they were really nice. I liked the good he seemed to be doing, which he doesn't get very much credit for. Did they release the Aang trailer? I mean, I'm definitely going to be reacting to that. Elliot, have I ever done a Mediterranean diet? I was evangelizing about the Mediterranean diet last year, and I'm in fact getting ready to try and go back on that again. It's the best way to eat. Oh, did they release their designs? I thought they leaked. I didn't know they were officially released. I think they're leaked. Did it just come out today? Hold on, let me look at it. Holanda, I am enjoying Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but I think the most telling thing is that I didn't watch it yesterday. I will watch it, but I didn't. I had other things I wanted to watch instead. Aang. Oh, 1 day ago. Is this real or did it leak? I'd be shocked if this was real. It looks like a comic book. I don't care. I don't really care as long as it has cool action sequences. Adam Sphere, I think there's something wrong with Twitter. It's not operating correctly. Maybe that's why stuff's having trouble trending. You know? Cam says, can you have popcorn on the Mediterranean diet? Like actual popcorn? Yes. Like that you pop yourself. But you can't eat movie theater popcorn because it's got a bunch of chemicals on it, which is why it tastes so good. All right. Okay, everybody, I think, I have 1 minute left. I refuse to look at or discuss AI actress Tilly Norwood. Let's see here. But I appreciate you asking me. Thank you. Thanks, Jander. It's nice to hear from you in Brazil. And I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, Madav. You want some shout outs, Elliot? Okay, let's do shout outs at the very end. It's a Friday. I haven't done them in a long time. Let's hear it. Any shout outs? Who wants a shout out? Just say where you are, what are you doing, and I'll do a couple of shout outs. Oh, it's your 30th birthday, Charles. Happy birthday. And you're at Tokyo Disneyland. You're living your best life. I love it so much. Thanks, Adam Sphere. Hey, Devinger and Hotlanta. I believe it. I wish it were a little hotter here. Hey, Elise. Could One Piece have a season 4 anytime soon? They're only on season 2. Oh, hey, Nishan is in Belgium. I love talking to you guys all over the world. Elliot's in LA. Let's see here. SL is in Yorkshire, UK. Mystic is eating some oranges while celebrating Friday the 13th. Hey, Brian. Rodney Dollar says, hey, Grace, just relaxing. I got my notebook for songwriting and about to write my artist name later today. Oh, exciting. Riley's in LA about to get a smoothie. Ben says he's enjoying his evening with this great live stream in France. Every time I see your name, I'm like, he's in France. Tillman says, just got home early from work in Norfolk. The city is shaken by, oh, I'm sorry. We're staying strong, though. Yeah, so many tragedies these days. It's really tough. And on that note, I hope everything's okay in Qatar, Fahad. Stayed up in India till 2 a.m. Oh, that's awesome. Your gym will be open at 4 a.m.? That's nuts. That's great. But I appreciate you staying up to spend time with us, Madav. You were very interactive in today's stream, and that's always appreciated. And I'm impressed you're so interactive at 2 in the morning. Dancing Dog 60 says, day off in Boston, enjoying a Budweiser. Bud. I love it. Well, Kay Walton is finishing up work in Houston. It's Friday. Raphael says, enjoying the best YouTube community in Italy. Aww. Oh, Atmosphere. There's a storm in Hawaii. I hope everybody's okay there as well. Linzik is in windy Washington, D.C. Oasis just got here from a lovely buffet in Nottingham. I love that you're in Nottingham. That's so funny. I love it. Let's see here. Juan says, I'm here with my friend Wes and dog Theo waiting for our Subway meal. Ooh, Subway's delicious. That's right. A global community, Elise. I love talking to people all over the world. It's so great. And Rashad is going to California. Have a good time. California has so many different places in it. It's very, has a lot of different things there. Sahib says, are you excited for the drama with Zendaya and Robert Pattinson? Yeah, I'm interested in it, but I don't think they've really did a good job selling it beyond those 2 stars. That's right, Dancing Dog 60, the sheriff of Nottingham. It's a real place, though, and that guy lives there. Oh, have a great trip, Rashad. And Mexican Nacho, I'm so happy to always see you. I'm glad you got to say hi at least. I'm sorry you were late. Okay, I think that's good. I had a wonderful time talking to you as always. I'm sorry there were just 2 live streams this week, but it couldn't be helped. However, I shall see you soon. And on Sunday, big day. Even if they don't drop any trailers on Sunday, it'll be movie math. And then, of course, in the evening, the Oscars. I will be live tweeting them. And then I will be doing a live stream after the telecast. Okay, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye.